is going to be Ben from Mayfield Robotics. And he's going to talk to us tonight about their robot, Curie.
Who's sitting on the floor here. So to be honest, my presentation's probably not an hour, but what we're going to do is we're going to start with a couple of videos, and it's a kind of a multimedia interactive presentation, and then at the end we can just come down and you can say hi to Kuri and check her out. Oh, no video sound. Let's try this. Here, let's try this. I'm going to try the HDMI.
You'll like that. Mark. Mark? Not Womack.
That's what I get for not testing.
Do you know anything about audio?
I don't know how to do the audio from the...
Let's try this.
I think it's there, it's just low.
Ozzy, give him a picture. Give him a picture with him. Get down there. We'll get one more. Hang on. Can you get a picture?
I lost it 1 second.
It's not too bad. Do you want to rewind and we can do that? Okay, so everybody be very quiet.
Let's try it this way.
I don't know how to explain it. I just played with a robot. I was playing with a little robot named Kuri. K-U-R-Y. It had a circle head, ovalish body. He looks like a snowman. Kuri sounds like beep boop beep boop. Like R2-D2. It was way better than playing the game. It reminds me of a dog. He is very cute. For some reason I understand it. Because I understand robot. It was asking me to be its friend. He even told me a story. I just said, "Hey Kuri, can you read me a story?" It was a story about a dragon and a princess and a knight. Well, I have to check my blood sugar because I have diabetes. Hey Kuri, remind me to check my blood sugar in an hour. And he reminded me in an hour. Thanks, Kuri. It was really cool. He comes from 1952 from a special secret island, and he traveled 450,000 billion miles from Canada. The person that made Kuri was very smart, like an engineer. I don't have any robots, but I really want one, and I want it to be just like Kuri. I think it would be pretty helpful for my parents to have Kuri around because it'll keep us busy and not, like, annoying them. I'll call Kuri a best friend. He'll be part of my family. I would put him on my bed. My life would be happy. Kuri's a really cute little robot. And it even goes to sleep. Goodbye, Kuri. Bye-bye. See you later.
So as you can tell, we're trying to take a little different approach to robotics. So what we're working on is we're trying to create a very compelling reason for people to buy robots and get them into their house. So a little bit about us. So we are, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So we are a subsidiary of Bosch. So Mayfield Robotics started out of Bosch Research in Palo Alto. And a couple of the researchers, so Sarah and Kaijin, who are two of our founders, were doing some needs finding about robots and trying to figure out what they could do inside of a house. And this actually started out as a home security robot. As you can see, it's not very threatening and not very secure-like. Because as we actually went out and talked to users about our robot, we found that they wanted to know what the robot did while it was there, not just what it was doing while you weren't there. So that's how we got funding from Bosch, and we are run as a separate subsidiary. We run very much like a startup. There's about 50 of us, and we're trying to figure out what it's going to take to bring robots, cute, adorable home robots, to life. So this is Kuri. We debuted her at CES this year, and you'll notice that none of the comments here were talking about the bits and bytes and features and functionality. It's more about her personality, that she's expressive, she's cute, she's unique, and she's instantly likable. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to focus on personality first, and the features and functionality to support those types of behaviors for the robot. But for us, sensors are still key. We have a camera, so it's a 1080p camera in the eye. That camera feeds a neural network that allows Curie to notice her surroundings, to detect people, to understand who's around, and things like that. She also has, there's 4 microphones around her collar. So the 4 microphones allow her to detect which direction voices are coming from. That allows for some more realistic human-like interactions where if you say, hey, Curie, she could look over and look up at you. Combine that with the face detection, and now she starts to look like she has contextual awareness. She also has a touch sensor. So if you touch her head, she'll respond. She looks up, gives you a little smile, and makes you feel like you're like she's a pet. She also has the ability to autonomously drive around her surroundings. So part of the onboarding process looks a lot like your navigation demo you gave. You introduce Curie to your house, you drive her around, you introduce her to places that you care about, your kitchen, your dining room, your living room, and places where you're going to be. And then Curie can autonomously navigate between those points and interact with you, providing you music and audio and capturing images and memories that you might have missed. She also has a bump and a cliff sensor, so she responds. So no technology is perfect. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to create a very compelling, cute experience with robots. She also has a set of, I talked about the microphone arrays, the speakers, so the microphone array to detect sound and then the speakers to output. And the cap touch sensor is how she senses touch, and then a camera. So sensors by themselves are not particularly cute. They look like PCBs on boards, and it's actually the software that actually brings it all together. So we're focused on how can robots make you feel. They can make you feel like they're creepy surveillance, or they can make you feel like they're a helpful photographer. This is a lot about the positioning of robots in the world. They can feel like cold electronics, or they can have adorable reactions. So we're focused on providing adorable reactions for our robots. We also feel very strongly, you'll notice that none of the interactions with Curie does she actually do text-to-speech. Now we have speakers in there that can reproduce sound just like everybody's voice in here. We've chosen not to have her speak back because you can end up in the cognitive uncanny valley where she starts to become creepy. And we want to avoid, especially for a first robot that people are going to own in the house, we want to avoid that creepy uncanny valley aspect. We also are trying to avoid clunky, scary robot as well. We're trying to create Curie as a member of the family where she has very organic movements. So we spend a lot of time tuning motor controls so that the eyes look natural, the head movements look realistic, and the motor control is very smooth. So we spend a lot of time doing lots of really fine-tuned adjustments to make her feel more lifelike. So the creepy surveillance versus helpful photographer. So one of Curie's most natural use cases is to just roam around the house and capture moments that you might have missed. Now, we could present that as she is a security robot and will capture all of the people who are coming into your house that you don't want there. Or we can say, she can gather the memories of you reading to your child. You don't have to be behind your phone with the screen not present in the moment. So we're trying to change the conversation around robotics in that way. Cold electronics versus adorable reactions. We could have not put a lot of really soft industrial design on the outside. We could have made her bulky. If you looked at actually some of our early prototypes, there were cameras on a stick with googly eyes. We tried to make her feel like something that is a well-designed object that draws you in. Touch is also another part of that. So as you touch the robot, she responds. And then Uncanny Valley, we had to have a max headroom reference, just because.
This is
If you compare that to Curie and her. Okay, that was okay. And then clunky, scary robot versus natural and lifelike. So we want this to be something that could be in your mom's house, your grandparents' house, around your kids that you feel comfortable with having her around, and has enough utility. You use her every day. At the same time, you feel like she's a member of your family.
Hey, Kuri, go home.
So on to the challenges. Robots are hard. There's a lot of hard tech that has to go into them. And to create a robot that people are going to want to buy, you have to really focus on the tone and how do you actually bring it all together into more than just a bunch of technology that gets cobbled together with wires hanging out of it. You have to make it feel like something that is going to become part of your family. It's going to be around all the time. So we had to settle on a very distinct tone for the robot. One of the questions that a lot of people ask is, why does she not speak English? Why can you not say, hey Kuri, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? And have her just speak back. And we also are trying to not be completely literal. So we are working with a Pixar animator to take the robots that we've experienced on the screens and bring them out of the screens into real life, into the world, so that we can inspire the next generation of people who will have their first robot in their house, that they understand how it works. And as all technology, as we've seen various demonstrations of, technology fails. And we understand that we're not going to be able to navigate around the house all the time, completely autonomously. So when we fail, or when we bump into things, we want to fail cute. So we want her to have reactions that are like, oh no, I'm lost. How do I, oh, okay, now I found myself and now I can go. So those little reactions can create ways of recovering, but we want those reactions to feel natural and look natural as well. So for example, we can actually do face detection and recognition. And one of the things that we're looking at is how fast does that have to be? Does it have to be 100 milliseconds? Or can it do a double take? And how natural does a double take look when it's actually done in a robot? And can we build behaviors that allow us to fail in a very cute way? So this is the lost animation that we have. So she turns around and that helps her to relocalize. And then one parting video, and then we can take questions, and you can come up and hang out with Kuri, and we can have some more conversation.
Kuri won't try to destroy civilization or send out a death ray that paralyzes an entire city. rise up and enslave humankind under some robot rule.
Curry, why are you watching this stuff?
Because Kuri isn't like any other robot. And that is a very, very good thing.
And that is my presentation. Questions or comments? Questions?
Are your charging stations distinguishable from the robot vacuum stations? So,
Finds the right one.
So if you have a robot vacuum and a charge, yes, they're distinguishable.
Sorry, your parking spot's
Your parking spot is full. Yes, I am.
In the example of the little girl who was getting her blood sugar, a timer on the blood sugar thing, like how does it actually communicate? Like what would the response be?
So she can go and try and find you, and because of the face detection, we'll recognize you, and then she would just beep and boop at you, or we can do recorded messages, so it would be spoken back in the person's voice who recorded the task.
Okay.
Let's go in the back.
This is a two-part question. What was the inspiration behind the name, and when will Kuri have a brother?
So Curie is, I'll answer the second one first. So Curie is actually a species. And so if you actually look at our website, we play around a lot with gender. And so I refer to her as she. Ashley, I think, refers to her as he. So Ashley's in the back, keeping me on task. So Curie is whatever you want it to be. What we're really trying to be very conscious of is Curie is not an it. Curie is something that you want to have as part of your family, and it tends to be gendered. And now your first question was?
The inspiration.
The inspiration. So we went through, but it's a little bit before my time. They went through and did a kind of a branding exercise and settled on a name, and they were really, really happy with it. And then another product launched with exactly that name. So they went out to the users and asked users for one of the names. And so this is actually a user-supplied name. Fortunately for us, Kuri with a slightly different pronunciation means chestnut in Japanese. So we actually found a really nice four-letter name that speaks well to the technology. Hey Kuri is a good activation word for voice recognition because it's got some good hard consonants. And it doesn't have any bad meanings in other languages that we've found so far.
So how hackable or extensible is Kuri designed to be?
So right now we don't have announced an SDK. We've built this on ROS. So I won't say that you can hack it, but you can probably hack it. There are going to be components that, because we're actually putting a laser depth sensor in here, so it's a time of flight sensor. And so depending on what you open up, that sensor might not work because we have to make sure that we have eye safety around it. And over time, we will open up the initial programmability will be in-app, and it'll be sort of a fill-in-the-blanks Mad Lib style programmability. But we are looking at ways of exposing and where that line should be from a product perspective.
What are you charging for?
Right now, on sale, pre-order for $6.99. And so we're looking to ship first units towards the end of this year and into the beginning of next year.
You know, you mentioned this really quickly, but I think it's a huge issue, and that is you never really quite understand what a kid is going to do. So I was recently showing a lot of stuff at Maker Faire, and they will come. I have this cute little doll, and it's got these time of flight sensors, the SD microcomputer ones, and they will come up to the thing and stare right into its face from like 1.5 inches away, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, is this my lawsuit? You know. So, but in that respect, I bet you have to worry about a lot of those things when you're going to place yourself right next to a young child. You don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, we don't, and we've actually done a lot of play testing with the robot, various different stages of prototype. I have a 5-year-old, and the cutest thing that he did with the Curie that we brought home was he turned Curie into a pirate with Play-Doh on the eyes. So we've had a lot of design work around how do you make Curie cleanable for those types of situations. And so what also happens if you dump a water on Curie's head. So we actually we don't refer to it in product literature as a pee hole, but there is a drain tube that drains out. So we have one of the advantages. We work at the Mayfield is a very diverse environment. We have lots of people that have kids. And so the kids come in and we test with kids all the time. And so for the laser, we're doing laser eye safety testing. Cats are actually worse than kids because cats' eyes are more sensitive. And it's right at cat eye level.
What do cats do?
Some cats run away, and some cats, we've got a couple of really cute pictures of the cat just coming up and trying to figure it out. It makes a really cute pet monitor.
More cute cat videos.
Very cute cat videos, yes, exactly.
I saw two gray bands inside which represent the arms. Are they going to open up one day?
So Curie's arms are not mobile right now. Maybe for Curie 2, we'll do something with a manipulator. But right now, her arms are just designated, like they're designed to indicate that she's ready to go. So they're backwards swept and are ready to go. The functional aspect of them is they cover up some screw holes. But other than that, they're just like a
Can you talk a little bit about, especially for a safety critical system like working with children, how it is with ROS, both as not a real-time system and also as like ROS isn't guaranteed, like stability-wise, you didn't build it yourself.
So we based it on ROS, but we don't use only ROS. And we've done so there are a couple of other microcontrollers in there, and so all the hard real time are done on hard micros with guaranteed time constraints around them. The laser depth sensor also has a microcontroller that also we can guarantee hard real time constraints around, and also doesn't run ROS. ROS is more what we use for kind of an integration layer. We're using most of the messaging layer. We've written our own SLAM stack, and we've written our own navigation stack as well. Because our depth sensor has some specific constraints around it, and we wanted a little bit different behavior around it. So, anybody over here?
Did you say what depth sensor you were using?
We're building our own. Yeah.
Do you have a plan to add more like social interactions or social feature for the next version?
That will probably, so right now we're not announcing partnerships and other bits like that, but there are some partnerships that are in the works to enable her to talk to smart home devices, to add more music capability, music streaming, and then there is a cloud-based application for storing your video and photos, and those can be shared via social as well.
Can I buy two of them and have them at the same time at home?
You should talk to product. We actually, so one of the fun things, we've had 10 or 20 of them lined up, and we did a conga line. So if you search the video for Curie conga line, we actually have lined them up and then start the bump sensor, and they'll bump into each other. Yeah, it's super, super cute. So we actually have a lot of fun. We do play dress up with Curie in the office quite a bit. So we have just a myriad of hats. So Curie looks great in hats. The best one is kind of this taco hat that we have, which is very cute. Our continuous integration robot, we've been trying to find a hard hat to make it work. So right now he just wears a baseball cap. So.
I went on the website and it said that it interfaces with Alexa, and I'm wondering what that interaction would look like.
So the interaction with Alexa on the website.
I found it. I found it on the website.
Yeah, that might have been. So some of the press we've received is like Alexa on wheels. So we haven't announced any partnerships with Alexa at this point. The only one I think that we've announced officially is If This Then That. So to give you some programmability with some of your smart home devices.
So you're saying you don't do voice synthesis, but I heard in the video the kids saying, "Tell me a story."
So that would be playing a podcast or an audiobook. So you can say, "Hey Curie, play me Cinderella," and Curie will read Cinderella, but that is not in her voice. That would be in the narrator's voice of the audiobook. So Curie can display rich media. R2-D2 could display rich media, including holograms. But that was clearly not R2 speaking when she said, "Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." So those are the types of interactions that we will enable, and those over time don't necessarily break the character of the robot, and still allows you to have this belief that Curie has an inner life that's different and can deliver rich media messages.
Now, what's your supply chain like?
Our supply chain. So we're doing final assembly in China. We have a couple of suppliers in various different countries in Asia. And we're, I don't know how much more of that I can actually say at this point.
And you ship directly to the customer?
Yeah, we're going to ship directly to the customer.
Is your 3-axis head range of motion same as a human?
It's fairly similar.
You don't do any 360?
It doesn't do 360 now. It could do 360, but that looks very non-cute. So again, whenever we're making a product decision on the robot, the first question is not to the engineers, it's actually to the product people who are like, does that look cute? And when we're doing docking, so we've had docking technically available for quite some time, but docking isn't done until it's cute. And so we had to actually add the animations in to make it look like it was real. So when Curie's driving around, she actually signals intent before she moves, so her head will turn and then her body will turn. There's actually a lot of subtlety to just this idle behavior where her eyes are blinking. It's one of those things where if you actually try this, so move your head and then blink. It feels very weird because usually you blink and then move your head. So those are the types of interactions that we've had to program into the robot are, if Curie needs to blink, then she's going to blink before she moves her head, if she needs to move her head. So it's those types of very subtle behaviors that your subconscious picks up on and makes her feel more natural and more lifelike.
Is there anything more than person detection that you're using AI for?
Depends on what your definition of AI. So it does some mapping. We do place detection as well. So that helps with some of the localization challenges that we have. We are doing speech detection on the robot as well. So it actually has onboard wake word. And then it uses cloud for more of the dictation because we just don't have quite enough horsepower on board to do a full ASR engine on board.
Are you concerned that over time, the cuteness aspect of it just kind of becomes transparent and it's all about back to functionality, and people will, not really care whether it blinks cutely or does motions cutely. They just want it to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, we're hoping to be able, so we have the ability to over-the-air update Curie while she's in the house, so add more features and more functionality. And as we explore the domain of this human robotics interaction, we hope to, one of the things that we're really trying really hard to do is a lot of toys that are trying to be interactive toys go over the line and become obnoxious and annoying. So we're trying to make Curie very subtle, and I've probably had the robot in my house more than almost anyone else in the company, and I can just sit there and watch her roam around the house and try to attribute inner meaning to what she's doing, even though I know exactly how she's programmed. It's very interesting how you can, with a few very subtle things, you can make a robot feel very lifelike. And so over time, we're going to expand those lifelike abilities, and she'll learn new quote-unquote tricks. And we're hoping that it's something that gets used all the time, and we're not shipping a doorstop.
What do you do when the kid puts it on the table?
She has cliff sensors, so she won't drive off of the table. And she does have some, so if you do pick her up, she makes a very cute, like, I've been picked up noise.
Can she follow a human around? And I'm also curious how much noise the motors make when it's driving.
Oh. She gets in here. We have worked on driving her around. This is almost the final drivetrain, so this is a little louder than the final drivetrain, but she's not too super loud. One of the first prototypes that I took home, my wife almost made me quit my job over because it was so loud. She was like, "Who's ever gonna put this in a house?" So we spent a lot of time trying to get.
Ben, can you drive her all the way to the back and then drive up this way? Then we're gonna have you drive on the table.
Let me try the.
Hard to impress, but easily amused.
Exactly.
And can she follow a human?
She can follow certain humans at this point, i.e. the human that programmed her. We're trying to make that a little bit more robust, and we're trying to figure out if it makes sense to end up in the final product feature, or if it's more natural to do what I'm doing now, which is just drive her around. One of the challenges is she's not quite as fast as a human, and if she ends up being as fast as a human, it starts to enter the creepy, oh my god, she's moving too fast realm. And because she's not as fast as a human, it's actually a little challenging to do follow me, because you end up having to walk at a different pace. Yep. And so it's like, so we're still trying to determine if that ends up in the final product or not.
So I know kids do a lot of funny things to their toys and whatever objects they have around. What's the load bearing?
What's the load?
If they sat on it.
My son hasn't sat on it yet. Some of the early prototypes did face plant, going off of a threshold. I don't exactly know that number at this point, but
Just imagining like huge stuffed
yeah.
animals on it or something.
One of our board members asked, so what happens if you take Kuri in the shower? And the answer is, Kuri doesn't work anymore. So there are going to be things that if you do those things to Kuri, Kuri will not work anymore. Just like if you jump on somebody's head too hard, it might not. I end up in the hospital. I have to tell my 5-year-old that all the time. Don't jump on daddy's head so hard.
Are you thinking of making Kuri in different colors to be more cuter?
You can have Kuri in whatever color you want, as long as it's white and black. No, right now we're only doing white and black. Hard to say where it will end up after product version 1.
How about costumes?
Costumes are probably going to happen because costumes are a big thing around the office. So stickers or other things like that. So there's a lot of really cute things that you can do. When we did user testing at one of a friend's house who has, he's got a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, they actually put a Darth Vader mask on the robot.
Not cute.
On their robot. It was super cute, actually. Darth Vader on a Kuri is really cute, let me tell you. And they enjoyed it. And
that's how it gets started, you know.
I know, that's how it gets started. Lead him to the dark side. Lead him to the dark side. So yeah, so we've spent a lot of every kid that we've tested it with has wanted to either put a hat on her or him and just dress them up and just play with them, and it becomes a play thing. My son is always asking, so when is Kuri coming home with me again? And you have to imagine, so you take a robot home and you play with it for a day or two, and they become attached, and then you have to take the robot back to the office. And it's like taking the dog back to the pound. So my son's face, just like, there's almost tears. And I was like, well, Daddy's just taking the robot back to school to teach him, so that he can learn some new tricks. Like, oh, so you're like a robot teacher. Which is great. So I have the ideal 5-year-old parent's job right now. I get to work with robots all the time.
So this is an entry-level product. What's version 2? What's version 3? What's the ultimate goal that Mayfield's trying to get
So
to?
Mayfield's goal is we are exploring what it's going to be like to have robots in the house. So our mandate is household robotics. This is our first product, and we started 2 years ago. It was 3 people and an idea and some Bosch funding 2.5 years ago. We're about 50 people, and our goal is actually we're just going to be the design shop for Bosch. Bosch is great at manufacturing massive numbers of products. They have great supply chain. They manufacture complicated parts like dishwashers and other things like that. They're not really good at going from 0 to 1. So this is their attempt at figuring out how to get a little Silicon Valley innovation inside of a 120-year-old German multinational organization. So we have the mandate to move fast, break things, and create some disruption. There's not a really good area inside of Bosch that we live in. There is not a robotics division inside of Bosch. There's autonomous driving, there's industrial robots and robotics assistants there. So there are some pieces of robotics, but our mandate is to go after the home market and figure out what that's going to look like.
I'm just wondering how you build customer loyalty for after your kid is 7, not going to be as interested.
Or maybe at 7, like the robot's personality changes a little bit and becomes more of an entertainment system. So it's the robot that follows you around and plays your favorite Spotify song or other things like that. So it transforms over time.
I'm curious if Jibo is one of your
So we think that the home robotics marketplace is huge and untapped. And so we're hoping that all of the robotics companies that are putting products out can succeed in the market. We're in a slightly different, we're in an adjacent space to Jibo, and we're both exploring this area, but there's room for multiple companies exploring the same area.
So not this one, but maybe the next generation. What are your thoughts on 2-story houses? How would you navigate stairs?
We've talked about a flying robot. So the question was, how about stairs? And how do you do multiple stories? So Kuri actually has a handle in the back. So you can pick her up and carry her up and downstairs. She's not super heavy, so you could take her up and downstairs. And we're working on being able to like switch maps dynamically so she can know multiple spaces. Like maybe she would walk over the stairs like, I can't get up there, type of thing. So that's a fairly challenging problem. With stairs, one of the biggest challenges, as I mentioned earlier, we're all about cute, and creating a stair climbing robot that's cute is a really hard problem. So we have some ideas of other things that will come along, but you can just buy one for each floor. Upstairs robot, downstairs robot.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. 2. Yes.
How does it determine which moments are worth capturing?
So we've actually been doing a lot of studies on this right now, and so most pictures, if you actually look at them, have people in them, or pets, or things you care about. So that's the first filter that happens on robot. And there's actually some just normal tricks that you can use as a photographer of the magic quadrants. So if you can get the face in the quadrants, you can do some interesting things. We also use some additional processing to find like locations. So look, when the robot's in the same spot. So we've actually got some really interesting animated GIFs of people's houses that we've done testing in, where you can see the sunset through their house. That's actually really cute over time. So it's time lapse on the robot over time, and it creates some really compelling user interfaces that way.
There's some moments when you don't want to be photographed.
Yeah. So with that, so Kuri's eyes are actually one of the reasons for actual movable eyes is you can see when Kuri is asleep, and when Kuri is asleep, her camera cannot see through the plastic that is there. So you can have visual confirmation from across the room that Kuri is not recording. And one of the first things on board is, hey Kuri, go home. And so she'll go back to the dock and go to sleep, and you can send her away.
Or put a paper bag over
or put a paper bag over her head. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it, and feel free to.
Presentation. So before everybody gets up, I would suggest if you're going to show your robot afterwards, do not set up near the door, otherwise you'll get trampled. So you might want to take this space over here, or perhaps somewhere in the back. You can choose. While you're getting set up with your robot, I found out that there's a couple guys from Fellow Robotics here tonight as well. So since we have a couple minutes before the end of our meeting, I thought I would invite them up to come and just for a couple minutes say what they do.
I'm just going to plug this in really quick. Let's see if I can get this to show up here.
We have a wonderful abundance of commercial robotics companies here. This is Nito, Intel,
That's why I can't hear.
Fellow, Mayfield.
Do you know how I can switch the screen over?
Mark? Being a robot.
Hey guys, I'm just going to take a few minutes of your time. So my name is Karsh. I'm here with Tadu here. We work at Fellow Robots. And at Fellow, we're developing these autonomous mobile robots that go into retail stores and help store associates with inventory management. So our robots are actually deployed in several Lowe's stores in Silicon Valley. And these robots autonomously navigate around the store, and they take photos of the shelves. And what we do is we analyze these images, and we give store associates and store managers some insights on what's going on their shelf. Particularly if, if something's out of stock, or if the pricing is wrong, or if the products are not placed correctly. So I'm just going to quickly show you a video of how our robots work.
You want to make your home better. Our job is to help you. So we're building new tools that help our associates help you better. We partnered with Fellow Robotics to bring you Lobot. We spent close to 2 years honing Lobot, and soon it'll be coming to select Lowe's stores to help you.
Hi, I'm looking for some paint.
Need to find something? Lobot can show you, and multiple languages. Lobot also helps our team by constantly monitoring inventory, giving us daily feedback about what is in stock in the store. All of this allows our staff to focus on what they do best, helping you.
Yeah, so I don't really have much of a presentation for you guys, but so where we are right now is we're in the midst of deploying to all these Lowe's stores in Silicon Valley. So our team is sort of growing, and one of the things we're looking for is to hire like a full-time robotics engineer or a full-time intern. So if anybody's interested in learning more about what we do, we're going to hang around for a little bit, so feel free to come up and talk to us. It's me and Talu. Thank you guys.
It's a great time to be in robotics. There's just so many companies doing robots these days. Okay, so that's the end of our presentation. I know that Curie will be here for a few more minutes, and we usually get kicked out of this room about 10. So thank you everybody, and see you next time.